Hi, I'm Garrett Berdan, chef and registered dietitian, and today I'm going to be using winter squash. I love winter squash because it is available starting in September and goes all throughout the winter months. The great thing about winter squash too is you can buy it, leave it whole, store it at room temperature, and it really has a long shelf life. So with this butternut squash, we're going to make sort of a dessert-like dish with apples and a little crispy topping. One thing about squash too is it's sweet and delicious, but it also is a great source of fiber and vitamin A. So with the winter squash, sometimes they're a little difficult to peel, but I like to just use a sturdy vegetable peeler and place the squash on my board, and we just start to peel the skin right off the squash. We'll turn this as we go around, making sure to get down to that orange flesh. We'll flip this over, get the round part of the squash. This is where the seeds are stored. And now that it's peeled, we can remove both ends just by simply trimming that off with your knife. Make sure to keep your fingertips out of the way and just slice that right off. Stand it up on its flat side, and we'll cut this straight in half down the middle. Like that. That's going to reveal the seeds inside, and now we'll just take a spoon and scoop those seeds out. So now I'll place this squash cut side down on the cutting board so it's nice and sturdy, and I'm going to cut this into thin slices. These thin slices will bake at about the same rate as the apple slices that we're using as well. I have my apples already sliced, so I'm just going to add the butternut squash slices to the bowl with the apples. Now I'm going to put a little lemon juice on this so that the apples don't brown. Plus it adds a little bit of tartness. It's going to round out the flavor of the dish. Now I'll mix together the brown sugar, cinnamon, cornstarch, and a little bit of salt. This will add some sweetness and a little spice to our dish. Think of this almost like a crisp crumble or a pie. Okay, now that that's all mixed together, I'll sprinkle this in and stir to combine. I have a baking dish that's already been sprayed with vegetable oil, and I'll just pour this right in. I'll cover this with foil and place it into a 375-degree oven for 20 minutes. The apples and squash have baked for 20 minutes. Now I'll make my crumble topping. I have oats, flour, and a little brown sugar, and I'm just going to add 6 tablespoons of butter. And we'll use a pastry blender to cut this in so that it makes little pebble-sized pieces for our crumble topping. If you don't have a pastry cutter, you could also use a fork or 2 knives to cut the butter in. But we really are going for little pieces that will turn into a nice crumbly topping. So I'll bring my baked apples and squash over, remove the foil. Oh, those are looking good. And I'll scatter the crumble topping right over the top. Make sure to distribute it well over the whole dish. And we'll put this back into the oven uncovered for another 25 minutes. I like this butternut apple crisp served warm. I think you will too. You can find this family recipe and more at foodhero.org.